Hey guys, so welcome back to Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Let's carry on with this trial. Sorry I had to end it where I did, but let's carry on and see what Celeste has to say.
Very well then. Pay attention.
Alright, hit me. Dorm nameplates is our bullet.
Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct?
Yes.
But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
I see. So if someone read that note, then they would have gone to Sayaka's room.
Exactly. The room that Makoto was staying in. So in other words, even if someone did read the note
Right.
and did what it said, they would not have any connection to what happened.
It certainly would seem that way.
Right, so the killer went to my room instead of Sayaka's, and the reason for that is the switched dorm nameplates, right? If I was staying in Sayaka's room, and they got the note to come into Sayaka's room, they would have come and found me in there. Does that mean she was trying to get me killed? It has to be because of what got switched between my and Sayaka's rooms.
Sayaka and Makoto switched rooms, correct? But in the note, the place they were asked to come to, it specifically says, my room.
I see.
I think it's that one,
So
right?
if someone read that note, then they would have gone to Sayaka's room.
Exactly. The room that Makoto was staying in.
No, that's wrong.
The nameplates were switched. So the plan didn't work.
The nameplates on Mai and Sayaka's rooms got switched.
But why? Who switched them?
They got switched?
That's right. The nameplates got switched, just like the rooms themselves. As a result, the nameplate on Sayaka's room actually had Makoto's name. And the nameplate on Makoto's room had Sayaka's.
So what you're saying is, the room Sayaka was staying in was actually marked as her room.
Right.
Then, if someone did do what the note said, they would end up at Makoto's room where Sayaka was.
Plus, their rooms are right next to each other, so switching the nameplates would be no problem. And the one who switched the names was... Well, of course it wasn't you, right, Makoto?
Exactly, I had no reason to do that.
Right?
Okay, then who did it?
There's only one person who could have switched the nameplates. The only other person who knew we had switched rooms.
I got it!
Sayaka, but why would she
Me
do
and
it?
Sayaka were the only ones who ever knew about us switching rooms. So the only other person besides me who would even know to switch the nameplates was Sayaka.
You can also infer as much from her note.
Something I want to talk to you about, just us two. In 5 minutes, come see me in my room. Check the nameplates to make sure you don't get the wrong room, okay?
She specifically tells the reader to check the nameplate.
Right, she was trying to lure someone. Was she trying to frame me? But she failed in her plot to kill someone. They overpowered her and killed her instead.
She would only have written that if she knew the nameplates had been switched.
This was her idea of setting me up to take the fall. Everyone would have been misdirected, accused me, and she would have gotten away with it scot-free.
But why would she switch them in the first place?
She wanted someone to come to the room she was in, and also hide the fact that it was Makoto's room.
What?
Inviting someone to your room, but not telling them you'd switched rooms. Why would anyone do that?
I knew we couldn't trust her.
To understand that, we first need to understand what happened after she invited the person into the room. That's where the answer lies.
What happened then was probably whoever she invited over came in and attacked her.
Wrong.
We figured it out! We know who did it! Whoever she invited over is the culprit!
Technically, it was self-defense.
But we still don't know who it is, you goddamn idiot!
Actually, that's just my theory.
Sayaka fought with her killer there in the room, yes? Perhaps the answer to our previous question lies in that initial struggle.
Yes, I think you're right.
Then... we just have to figure out what happened during the fight, right?
I'm guessing she attempted to stab them, they grabbed her wrist to prevent themselves from getting stabbed, broke it, and then she had to retreat into the bathroom.
That reminds me. There was a replica sword at the murder scene. Was that perhaps used during the fight?
Yes.
Oh yeah. What's the deal with that sword?
Sayaka suggested I should hold on to it. I thought it might come in handy if I had to defend myself. It seems pretty likely that the killer used it to break Sayaka's right wrist.
How the hell could you possibly know that's what broke her wrist?
The reason I know Sayaka's wrist was broken with the fake sword is because when you look at her wrist, there's no doubt the color, the gold. Sword handle was missing, some of the gold coat was missing, as was part of the blade. Oh, sorry. Whoops. I'm sorry, this just doesn't make any sense. How is there any connection between the sword and her wrist?
Shoot!
It's like I just embarrassed myself in front of everyone. The reason I know Sayaka's wrist was broken with the fake sword is because when you look at her wrist, there's no doubt. Is there something that specifically mentions the gold? I guess I should have just presented her wrist.
I got it! All you have to do is take a good look at her broken wrist, and it should become pretty clear. Right there where her wrist is all swollen. There's something glittery there. See?
Okay, never mind, they didn't grab her wrist, they must have whacked it.
Is that gold?
It sure is. Specifically, the gold coating from the replica sword.
See, I did present the sword.
You barely have to touch that stuff, and it'll stick right to you. And there's some on her wrist because...
I got it! Because she got hit with the sword! Right there on her wrist!
I see. And so the truth draws ever closer.
All right, then it's about time to solve this mystery.
Let's do it. What happened in my room, and what led to Sayaka's death, that's what we need to make clear. There's a bit more to learn about non-stop debates. Again! Okay, go on. Are you getting used to these non-stop debates? Starting with the next debate, I'll start loading multiple truth bullets into your truth cylinder. But just like with the weak spots, only one of those bullets can actually refute the proper statement. In other words, from here on out, you'll have to combine the right truth bullets with the right weak spots to refute each statement. If you come up with the wrong combination, you'll take damage to your influence gauge. You can press the Q key to rotate the cylinder and choose which bullet to fire. Press and release the Q key to cycle through each bullet. Or you can use the mouse wheel. By the way, if the logic difficulty is set to kind, fewer bullets will be loaded into the cylinder. For our purposes this time, the logic difficulty will be set to mean. Oh god. Well then, good luck and have fun. Oh god. Right, that's what it means by difficulty. Replica sword's sheath, kitchen knife set, and replica sword are 3 bullets. We've got 10 minutes.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt. The sword-based sneak attack.
And that's what broke Miss Mizono's wrist.
So she tried to fight back. She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away. But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
And that's exactly what happened.
Really? Oh wow, there wasn't a lot to unpack there. The person with the sword really did attack first. There's no explanation for how a certain part of the sword got damaged.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit
trying to think.
grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack.
And that's what broke Miss Mizono's wrist.
So she tried to fight back.
Hold on. Let's review the evidence. Okay, we've got the 3 pieces. We've got the sword itself, we've got the sheath, and we've got the knife. Let's focus on the sword for now. We took the sword from the entryway. Sword was found out of its sheath on the floor in the middle of the room. The sword handle was missing some of the gold coating, as was part of the blade. Right. Sword was sheathed. No gold came off the sheath, it came off the sword itself. Right, okay. Carry on.
She grabbed the kitchen knife she had hidden away. But then the culprit took that from her too.
And they killed her with it.
She slashed the sheath itself with the
And
knife,
that's
right?
exactly what happened.
Okay. Let's hit it. The person with the sword really did attack first. There's no explanation for how a certain part of the sword got damaged.
When the fighting broke out, the culprit grabbed the sword, and that's when the first blow was dealt. A sword-based sneak attack.
No, that's wrong.
It wasn't the sword. They attacked with the sheath first. At least it was still holstered.
Actually, no. I don't think the fight started with the sword.
Huh? Why not?
Because the sword's sheath had been scratched. See? There's a gash in it. Like someone cut into it with something sharp.
Something sharp? You mean like the kitchen knife? That was the only sharp thing found at the scene.
Quick thinking there, Chihiro. Well done.
Stop jumping ahead. Slow down and explain it so I get what the hell's going on.
If the sword was used first, there wouldn't be any explanation for the scratch on the sheath. If you were going to attack with the sword, you'd take it out of the sheath first, right?
Exactly, they grabbed it in defense.
That's true. With the sheath on, it'd be heavy and bulky and useless as shit.
Okay, so how did the sheath get damaged?
If they got attacked with the kitchen knife, maybe they grabbed the sword as a defensive impulse. In that situation, there wouldn't be any time to actually unsheath the sword.
So you're saying the sword was initially used to defend against an attack from the knife?
Which means whoever had the kitchen knife was the one who attacked first.
Spot on.
I think I get it. So here's how it all played out. The culprit came in, found the kitchen knife hidden there somewhere. Then they took the knife and attacked Sayaka before she knew what was happening. So she grabbed the sword to defend herself. But then the culprit took that from her too. Then, after they broke her wrist with the sword, they took the knife and finished it.
Sorry, but I don't think Sayaka used the sword to defend herself.
Exactly.
What? How the hell can you not think that?
Because she never held the sword at all. There's a certain part of her body that makes this clear.
The gold would have been all over her hands. Part of her body that showed she never used the sword. If you wanted to use the sword, which part of your body would have to touch it?
I got it! You're talking about her palms, right? The palms of her hands were perfectly clean. So I don't think she ever picked up the sword.
Exactly.
How can you know that just by looking at her palms?
Because it's so sticky.
Like I said before, the gold coating on that sword comes right off. All you have to do is touch it. In fact, if you look, you'll notice that a lot of the gold has already come off the handle. It's safe to assume that's because whoever used the sword got some of it on their hands. There's really no way she could have picked it up and come away completely clean.
Maybe she washed her hands after she had escaped into the bathroom.
Sorry, but I don't think so.
Not when you're fearful for your life.
Why do you say that? Is it because you think I'm ugly?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down.
No, that's not it at all.
Where does this come into anything? There's no way Sayaka washed the gold coating off her hands because there's a certain regulation that talks about what happens to the bathrooms at nighttime. The water was off.
got it!
Right, you can't shower. Or use the
According to
sinks.
the Monokuma file, Sayaka's time of death was around 1:30 a.m. In other words, at nighttime. And the water in the bathrooms shuts off at nighttime, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Actually, I haven't taken a shower here yet.
Right.
Oh my.
You're no different. You smell like a big, fat, ugly donkey.
I'm not sure whether to take that as an insult or a compliment.
An insult. He for me. An insult.
An insult, obviously.
Thank you, Leon.
So anyway, if Sayaka never touched the sword, then that means the killer is the only one who used the sword. But hold on. If that's right, then the one who damaged the sheath with the kitchen knife was...
Sayaka. The one who damaged the sheath. Would had to have been the one without the sword.
I got it! Sayaka? She had the kitchen knife?
But we already said that the attack started with...
The person with the knife attacked first, and the sword was used as an impromptu defense.
Then the one who attacked first was...
Sayaka?
Yes.
Now do you understand? She wasn't a blameless victim in this.
No, far from it. It's almost as if she'd been planning to commit a murder of her own.
At least she didn't kill me. What?
She took the knife from the kitchen, then invited the culprit to the room she was staying in. And if it's true that she had the kitchen knife and attacked without provocation...
Indeed. These are all the actions of an assailant.
Which brings up another point. Makoto, Sayaka was the one who suggested you two switch rooms, correct? Maybe the reason she wanted to switch rooms was so that she could pin the crime on you. That is a possibility, is it not?
It certainly is, unfortunately.
Sayaka wanted to... on me?
That would also explain why she would switch the nameplates. She wanted to get whoever she had targeted. to come to Makoto's room, where she was staying. And by committing the murder there, instead of her room, that would implicate Makoto.
And if she got away with it, then I would have been defending her and probably gotten myself killed.
But for that to work, the target had to be lured out while still keeping the room swap a secret. If the target knew she had switched rooms, they would have become suspicious right away.
So all that's why she switched the names?
But doesn't that plan seem a little risky? For one thing, even if her plan worked, Mr. Naegi would just tell everyone they'd switched rooms.
I don't know. I'm not sure our soft-hearted Makoto is capable of that kind of cutthroat behavior. I'm sure Sayaka realized the same thing, which is why out of all of us, she asked him to switch rooms.
We're the ultimate naive.
Plus, she was the ultimate pop sensation. A totally forgettable kid. Or a national superstar. Who are you more likely to believe?
Wait, then you're saying she had this all planned out?
Holy shit!
But in the end, her plan backfired. She launched her attack with the knife, then found herself under attack in turn. That must be when her wrist got broken, and she was forced to drop the knife.
Karma's a bitch. Now I'm just doing this to save myself.
The tables were suddenly turned on her, and she died at the hands of the one she'd planned to murder.
I'm not solving this for you, Sayaka, you mofo.
Just hold on! That can't be true!
Come on, Makoto, please, see reasons.
Because...
Hey! You guys have totally derailed the argument. You're being super boring right now. Come on, hurry up and decide who did it. Wouldn't it be awful if I had to punish you all just because you ran out of time?
Shit.
Oh yeah, we gotta decide who we think did it.
Makoto, right now you just need to concentrate on figuring out the answer to this mystery.
What the numbers mean?
If we can't uncover who murdered Sayaka, it's over for all of us.
Is it really all over? Obviously, I'm committed to finding out who killed her, but what can I do? I mean, as far as clues go, there's nothing left. Ugh. Dying message. Oh, just one bullet.
It's easy just to say, hey, decide who did it. But there just aren't any more clues, right?
Well, that's the bullet.
Very well.
Firing.
Then let's review all the clues we've found up to this point one more time.
Do we really have time for all that?
Die! Die! If we don't do something, we're all gonna die!
Calm down. There's still one clue left, I'm sure of it. Sayaka left it on the wall she was leaning up against. Thanks for the tip.
It's easy just to say, hey, decide who did it. But there just aren't any more clues, right?
There you go. Found one!
No, that's wrong! There still might be one clue left. Sayaka's dying message.
Dining, wait, what did you say?
The dying message. She wrote something on the wall behind her, remember? 11037. Written in her own blood. There must be a clue about the killer hidden in there.
There's even the little smudge where the N is.
Well, before we get too far into that, I need to ask, can we really be sure that Sayaka is the one who wrote it?
Exactly. Just because it's on her finger? There's no question that Sayaka wrote that message, and I can prove it.
I got it! Her left index finger had blood on it. That could only be because she used that finger to write the message.
I see. She broke her right wrist during the fight, so she'd have to use her left hand to write.
It's very meticulous.
Sure. I think we can all agree Sayaka wrote it. But still, what the heck do those numbers mean? 11037?
Hey, Chihiro. You're a computer nerd or whatever, right? You should know all about numbers and shit.
No, that's not... Yes, I'm a programmer, but I don't see any kind of meaning in these numbers.
Of course. It's because they're not numbers.
Oh, yeah, it looks like...
Huh? What?
Thankfully, Kyoko's onto it.
No, it's just... look at the numbers, assuming they're not numbers. Don't these first two, 1-1, look less like two numbers and more like one letter?
Ah, you're right. The connecting line is barely there, so I assumed it was 1-1, but looking at it now, you could also read it as an N.
Is that correct though? Is that how you write backwards for the N?
Whoa!
I don't even know.
I finally just said something worth a shit.
I don't think I could ever do that even if I was bleeding out.
Our little gray cells are really getting excited now.
But even if that really is an N037, doesn't make any more sense than before.
I guess it really was that simple. Damn it, it's no use. I just don't know.
Rotate the image 180 degrees.
Huh? Rotate it? I think maybe I see something?
Oh my god. Now I see. She wrote down the killer's name.
Huh? You just shot past the clue part and right onto who did it. So, whose name did she write?
Sayaka's dying message reveals the real killer's name. If you turn her message 180 degrees, it should become crystal clear. This is so fair though, he did it in self-defense. Hi.
Here's my answer. The key to solving this mystery was simply to rotate the writing 180 degrees. If you turn the message around, it becomes the letters L-E-O-N. L-E-O-N. Or more accurately, Leon.
What? What the hell are you talking about? It's just a coincidence.
Oh god.
It's just a bunch of random squiggles that happen to look like my name.
No, it's not random at all. She wrote that message on the wall behind her as she was leaning up against it. In that position, she couldn't move to write normally, and had to write upside down, as it were. And as a result, when you look at it standing in front of her, it ends up getting flipped. Try it for yourself if you want. Write something sitting like her, and the letters will be inverted.
Correct.
That sounds like one hell of a stretch to me. I'm the killer? You can't just go and say shit like that.
If you're not the killer, then why did you try to destroy the evidence?
Huh?
You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The evidence Leon tried to get rid of?
The evidence that Leon tried to get rid of. It's that thing I found on the ground in front of the incinerator, right? The burned sleeve.
I got it! You mean the burnt shirt piece I found laying on the ground by the incinerator, right?
As the killer stabbed Sayaka, they must have gotten some of her blood on them. And to dispose of the shirt covered in the victim's blood, they threw it into the incinerator.
But one piece burned off and got left behind.
And the killer didn't notice. If they had, they most certainly would have panicked. Isn't that right, Leon?
But is one scrap of fabric enough to conclude that Leon is guilty?
Exactly, it's kind of flimsy. If we accepted one piece of evidence, I would have been convicted long ago.
Yeah, I mean, Leon's not the only one wearing a white button-up.
That's right. There are plenty of other people here with shirts like mine. With just that one little charred piece, there's no way you can say for sure who it belongs to.
But now I know it's you, the way you're behaving.
You're right. That alone isn't enough. But there are some other points that may reveal the truth.
Are you finally starting to understand? The answers to all the riddles are right here.
Yeah, I think so.
The burnt remains of the button-up shirt, which the killer wasn't able to get rid of. There's something about it we need to pay attention to in order to figure out who's responsible. When it was disposed of, where it was disposed of, how was it disposed of. We know where it was disposed of. It was disposed of in the incinerator. We know when it was disposed of in the morning. How was it disposed of? Is it? Oh, second guessing myself now. We know it was disposed of by the incinerator. We know where it was, in the garbage room, so I guess when? Oh, no. The time the shirt was destroyed. If we focus on that, the killer will become clear. What do you mean? The time it was destroyed? Do you really have evidence that proves what time it was destroyed? I don't think you do.
Shoot!
So I could just embarrass myself in front of everyone. God, think logically, Whack. Come on. Burnt remains of the button-up shirt, which the killer wasn't able to get rid of. There's something about it we need to pay attention to in order to figure out who's responsible. No, it's Hal. Oh my god.
Shoot!
I'm so bad.
I got it! If you look closely at how the shirt was disposed of, we should be able to figure out who the killer is.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I think I know what you're gonna say. You can't reach the incinerator without opening the gate in front of the trash room, right? And obviously, you wouldn't be able to hit the switch to turn it on either.
Unless you were a ultimate baseball player who knows how to pitch a ball.
You need the key to get in, and the one with the key was the person on cleaning duty. So the killer had to be whoever was in charge of taking care of the trash, right?
Interesting.
No, that's wrong. There was another way to use the incinerator without being the one on cleaning duty. That's exactly what proves that Leon is the real killer. Exactly. 30 feet away? You'd have to be pretty freaking good.
The key to the trash room. Whoever was on cleaning duty must have had it, right?
So the only one who could get to the incinerator was the person in charge of the trash?
But how do you reach
And
the shirt?
you'd have to get close to the incinerator in order to destroy the evidence.
No, that's wrong.
Come at me, bro. I may have
Hold
flubbed the
on.
past couple
I think
ones.
I know how someone could dispose of the evidence without using the trash room key.
But if you can't get past the gate, you couldn't possibly turn on the incinerator, could you?
I suppose you could ball up your clothes and throw it, but how far would that go?
Yes, you could. If you used this.
What is it, some kind of glass ball? It's busted to hell.
Actually, it was supposed to be a crystal ball, but,
But how would you use it?
The killer had to use the glass ball in a certain way, which was
I got it!
certainly
The
not
killer
divine with it.
simply took aim at the incinerator switch and threw the ball through a gap in the gate. All they had to do was hit that switch, and the incinerator would come to life.
Someone threw a gap in the gate?
Remember what you said before, Hifumi?
Huh? Someone turned the incinerator on? Very strange. I'm quite certain it was off last time I was down here. Perhaps it was the work of a fairy.
Hifumi had the key, so the only way the incinerator could have been turned on without his knowledge was because the killer was able to hit the switch without opening the gate. Once they'd gotten the incinerator going, all they had to do was ball up the shirt and toss it in.
Ball up the shirt, I guess.
Hey, come on! What the hell is this?
All you have to do is look at the scene to know that the killer never actually went inside the trash room. The shards of broken glass, the incinerator left running, the piece of shirt that escaped the fire.
Exactly, they would have switched it off, cleaned up the ball, and taken every piece of fiber of that shirt and burned it.
If the killer had been on cleaning duty, the evidence would have been taken care of much more thoroughly.
Wait, no, just hold on.
But the distance from the gate to the incinerator has to be at least 30 feet, right? The pinpoint accuracy you'd need to throw a glass ball that far and hit something that small.
You'd have to be a professional.
Could someone really do that?
That's right. There's no way. It'd be impossible.
Difficult, absolutely. Impossible? I don't think so. Because the killer is...
Wouldn't have been much of a challenge at all for the killer, because...
I got it! Because the killer is the ultimate baseball star. Isn't that right, Leon?
Ooh, Leon!
Do you have any idea how stupid you sound right now?
That sounded like when Kevin Spacey said Leon and Baby Driver.
A target 30 feet away would surely be little challenge for the ultimate baseball star.
You can't be serious. I'm not the killer! These goddamn shipper brains have got it all wrong, I'm telling you!
You still won't admit it? Okay then. Makoto, go ahead and review the incident one more time to make his crime perfectly clear. And with that, we can end this.
Listen to me! What the hell do you mean, end this?
Say what you want, Leon. But all the questions have been answered, and the truth has been revealed.
Sorry, pal.
Now here's what happened.